The Rothmans Lebanon and Syria, a tough desert rally, a 3,000-kilometre route. Tarmac roads switchbacking through mountains. 1,000 kilometres flat out through the dry, arid, boulder-strewn Syrian desert. 46 control points, a tight schedule over the road sections where every minute counts. And 500 kilometres of special stages where drivers race against the clock, fighting for seconds. For the first time, the event is sponsored by Rothmans. Observers this year include Claude Leguizec, Secretary-General of the World Governing Body of Motorsport, here to consider the Lebanon and Syria for inclusion in next year's prestigious World Rally Championship calendar. Beirut, seaport trading capital of the Middle East, where centuries-old architecture blends with modern hotels, where the ancient tradition of the street market survives alongside the modern shops. While Beirut went about its normal business, the drivers and mechanics prepared themselves in their cars for the grueling three-day event. Tougher than the Moroccan Desert Rally, says French ace Pio. More demanding than the East African Safari, says flying Finn Mikkola. It's 3,000 kilometres, 3 long days, 2 hard nights that face the 24 crews in different makes of car who have come from Finland, France, Italy and Kuwait to compete. Three times winner of the Monte Carlo, last year victor in the RAC, and fresh from his recent wins in the Finnish Thousand Lakes and the Arctic Rally, Timo Mäkinen and his co-driver Henry Littler. What are their impressions of the event?
I think the most, in this kind of rally, you must have the experience, and you don't have to do it flat out or something like that. You have to be clever and you try to finish.
It is very rough. It's the sort of the unexpected hole in the road, the unexpected bump which is going to catch you out. It's the faster the car you've got, then you're going to hit the bumps faster.
What does French ace Pio think of the route?
You know, to have all time the sun in my face or something like that. That is a big problem here. If you go out of the road, it's very difficult to take the good way.
Last year's winner, local Renault driver Tony Georgiou and Gerard Sonard.
What do you think makes a successful rally driver?
The navigator. But he drives, but you know, in the desert, it's the navigator.
Rally regulations allow regular servicing during the event, but major components, engine, gearbox and axles, may not be changed once the event starts. Stamps and special paint marks will be checked again at the end of the rally. Renault team captain Albert Bassou. Hannu Mikkola, winner of the East African Safari and the 16,000-mile London-Mexico, is rated as the fastest rally driver in the business. How will he and his French co-driver Jean Todt tackle the event?
I don't know, man, Todd. It's just to think what's coming on and...
Go back there! Let's go back there!
Georges Matta's Porsche limps into the control. Since Palmyra, he has been running with a jury-rigged, hand-operated throttle. And if that wasn't enough to cope with, he smashed into a washaway and damaged his steering as well. Nawi in his Audi, surviving and still in good shape. And the ever-present crowds. All along the route, wherever cars stopped, there were crowds young and old, eager to see the rally cars. Aleppo. And again the mechanics, with only minutes of permitted time, swoop on their cars to put right the damage caused by the rigours of the dawn to dusk run through the desert. The second half of the route demands less from the drivers, but the mechanical stresses and strains remain the same. Every mechanic is keen to make sure that his car will get to the finish. Prepared, checked, rechecked and washed down, the 8 survivors, after a 6-hour rest, are ready for the run which will take them out to the Mediterranean coast and back to Aleppo. The restart from Aleppo is at 20:45. North into the desert and Afrin and Harid. South to Jizr al-Shaghul, with a special stage between Salmar and Slenfei, to Banias, inland to Masyaf and back to Jizr al-Shaghul. Then via Idlib to Aleppo, arriving at 3:30 in the morning, so completing the third leg. The 6 valiant survivors. Rally organiser Jean Basile.
Are you surprised that so few cars have got through, or would you have expected this?
Yes, I was expected.
Well, just this few cars.
Few cars.
Why is that?
Because, you know, the roads was so maybe difficult, the deserts, and they have some troubles during, when they're crossing the desert during the night. Most of the cars they stop there.
Rally leader Pierre.
It is important to avoid the boulders and potholes. There are many of them. The other problem is the 3 people in front have cars of similar speed. So there's no question of taking it easy.
But not all drivers are as relaxed as Pio. Tempers fray from tension and lack of sleep. Setnawi argues a point with Basili.
You look as if you haven't had much sleep lately.
Well, since 3 days I'm not sleeping.
And now the dawn of the 3rd day and the start of the final run to Beirut. Hindi first away and making a bid for the lead. Pio, who had been fastest again over the night stage. Setnawi in his Audi. Hamdan, who'd run in the first 4 on the night stage. Paget's Renault and Makta's Porsche, still hand-throttled. The final 800-kilometre leg, starting at dawn in Aleppo, heads southeast into the desert and another special stage from Hagleh through Izreh to Said. On to the Lebanese border and the Homs Jussier special stage. Then one last special stage on tarmac roads through the mountains to Beirut. Don't be deceived by the wide-open spaces of the desert. Precision is needed, and the driver needs to be just as alert as on a hairpin mountain pass. The track dips, weaves and undulates through potholes and over boulders which can tear off the sun. Driving on these rough tracks hour after hour at rally speeds is a real test of skill and endurance. On this section, Pio has already gone through. This was the drastic mistake that was to cost him the rally. Running well ahead of the field with a 13-minute lead, co-driver Asfar brought him into a control ahead of schedule and incurred penalties that dropped him into 2nd place. In an effort to make up the time penalties, he left the road, damaging his suspension and engine mounts. Israel on the final morning. Hamdan considers his exhaust pipe, reflects that the noise is unlikely to disturb the local inhabitants, and carries on. Paget and Smith, still determined and going strong. Anxious officials and the ever-present followers and fans at the Lebanese border control wait to see the outcome of the PO-Hindi battle over the Hazieh and Jussieh stages. Over the 1.5-hour Hazieh stage, Hindi was a full 5 minutes faster than PO. But on the tricky Jussieh stage, PO tigered to beat Hindi by over a minute.
Yes, I have it.
Hamdan's cure in third place. Senawi fourth in the Audi. The battle was well and truly on. There's one more special stage to go. Can PO make up the time, or will Hindi and Haj be able to maintain their lead to the finish? Back in Beirut, with hours to go before the finish, crowds gather, lining the route into the city and outside the Phoenicia Hotel, anticipating the fight to the finish between the two Renault drivers. Dusk gives way to night, and Hindi puts all his local knowledge to good effect. On the last stage, he is fully 6 minutes faster than Pierre. Hindi leads 5 finishers into a hero's welcome. But there was sympathy and acclaim, and of course champagne, for Pierre, who had led for over 2/3 of the rally. Over the 9 special stages, 5.5 hours of relentless driving against the clock, Pierre and Asfar were fastest on 6 of them. And only 24 seconds separated him from Hindi in the final reckoning. Hamdan was next in to make it a magnificent 1-2-3 for Renault. Then Senhawi and Homsi in the lone Audi. And Paget and Smith to make the 4th Renault out of the 5 gallant survivors. A fitting end to the 3rd Lebanon Syria. Hindi and Haj delighted and deserving winners. Boundless enthusiasm from the hundreds of thousands who had gathered to watch along the 3,000-kilometre route, and praise for the administration from Observer Le Gazette. Rothmans had put the Lebanon Syria firmly on the world rally map.